Hello there, Jamie Oliver Grande here with my wee wife Sarah. We thought we'd do a short video here which we've entitled Fighting Rules for Relationships. And we just want to talk through some of the rules that we've learned over the past 20 plus years of our marriage, just to really help you and encourage you in your own relationship. And a lot of these we've had to learn them the hard way. Marcus, welcome. Good to see you. A lot of these we've learned them the hard way, but I think if you understand them, they'll hold you in really good stead. So I'm going to pass on to Sarah, and then you can start.
Fighting rules. Oh, you've put me on the spot. Hey, Marcus, love you more. We're going to give a few fighting rules for marriage. I think one of the major ones that we talk about is that we've learned over the years through experience, because we got married really young, and I think at that time there was more foolishness going on than wisdom.
Absolutely.
And so hi Everson, how are you doing? So one of our fighting rules that we established very early on in marriage that we found was so easy was know your mamas. Because you find sometimes you both get upset and you're both heated, and you think he's an idiot and he thinks you're an idiot, and you think him and his entire tribe are idiots, and I think he thinks the same thing. And then unfortunately in our younger years, you'd end up sort of like going down that route, isn't it? Of
sure.
Yeah, that's why your mother is like this, and no, that's why your people are like this. So we established fighting rules very early on that know your mamas. Hey, so our mothers, our fathers, our brothers, our siblings, our families are out of bounds. We do not touch our families when we are fighting and when we are having what we call heated fellowship and we're disagreeing. Know your mama. Your mother always, you're just like your mother. You're just like your father. You and your people, those are some of the conversations that you have in the midst of an argument. When you put fighting rules and boundaries, it makes you learn that there is a remit and it's not just everything and anything goes. So that's one of our fighting rules.
Yeah, that was a good one. That's a good one. You want to continue?
Hey, Agnes, how you doing? Hi, Stephanie.
Agnes.
Hi, Sister Sheila. I've seen a few people on there. Yeah. So another fighting rule. Go on. The silent treatment. Now, I'm going to speak on behalf of the ladies. If you don't talk fast, I'll speak fast.
Go ahead.
Ladies, we hate the silent treatment. No silent treatment. And I think that's a big one. Hi, Simon, Peter.
Hey,
the silent treatment is awful. And I really think it's from the pit of hell. Because if you're a person like me, if you're a person like me who doesn't want to be angry for a long time, and then you're upset with me for ages and ages, I've got so much to say, and the silent treatment literally kills me. So I think the silent treatment is a big no-no in a relationship and in a marriage.
Look, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I think the silent treatment is painful. It's painful, and speaking from the male perspective, somebody once said, men were anointed to sulk.
Oh, absolutely.
And silent treatment is a big way we do that. So we sulk,
absolutely.
And we basically say,
Stephanie
we act like we're being sophisticated and cool, but deep down we're acting like kids. And the silent treatment, what the most difficult thing is, there will be periods in your relationship where you have to sort of walk away from each other so that things don't get too heated. But the one thing I wanted to say is silent treatment, and I've seen times where it goes on for days and weeks.
Absolutely.
And the more you do that, and the more you get accustomed to doing that, the more difficult it is to break. So if you're accustomed to not talking to your partner, your spouse, your girlfriend, your boyfriend for weeks on end, before you know it, you will have no relationship to talk about. So it's really important to make sure that you keep the silent treatment to an absolute minimum.
Absolutely.
Walk away for a few minutes, and an hour, a couple of hours, then cool down, come
blow
back,
some steam
and
off.
then boom.
Everson asked whether we actually fight. Yes, we do.
Have to.
But over the years, it's evolved. You see, I grew up with boys. I've got brothers only. So the way I knew how to settle a fight or a disagreement was by fighting physically, But my husband is such a gentleman, So over the years, I've actually learned that's not how you settle an argument. So we used to fight in our early years. It was rowdy. It was absolutely just ridiculous. But over the years, it's evolved where we will have a disagreement, and instead of stewing on it, and instead of sleeping on it, and instead of avoiding it, having this huge elephant in the room, but not addressing the issue, now we talk about stuff. We may go off and cool down a little bit because we may be a little bit hot and just really wound up. But we come back and we talk about it, and we don't allow the sun to go down on our anger. We don't sleep angry because again, that's impossible. I need to be held at night, so you can't be mad at me. Yeah, so
that shake of the head says it all, man.
Yeah. Hey, Kasonde. So the silent treatment is a huge no-no in relationships. Another one.
You said, what did you say?
This one?
Yeah, sleeping downstairs.
Sleeping downstairs or in the guest bedroom or in the study, walking out of the bedroom because you're so upset.
Hey,
so you stage, hi Taffy. So you stage a one-man, protest, and you move out of the bedroom and you go to the guest bedroom, or you say, I'm going to go and sleep downstairs or in another room or in my office downstairs. That is a huge no-no. That is a huge no-no. Someone has just asked Bunny.
Bunny is my youngster. Bunny.
Oh, really? Nice.
Yeah, he's just asking, what's the cause of it increasing? Just a question. You're going to have to explain what you mean on that. So maybe have a think, because I'm not sure what the question means.
Elaborate.
Just elaborate, and then we'll respond to that.
Yeah.
But go on.
So no sleeping downstairs. No, don't leave your bedroom because you're so upset. Because I think that just causes such a rift. You put a wedge in because you leave your husband or you leave your wife in the bedroom alone, really upset. You're really upset. You're staging your one-man demo, and you want them to know just how upset you are, and you're so upset with them you don't want to have anything to do with them, so you move out of the bedroom. That is just so wrong, and I think it just causes such a wedge, and it just causes so much unnecessary pain and so much unnecessary harm in the relationship.
Tendai.
Hi Tendai.
Tendai, good to hear from you.
Yeah,
you are loved as well. I hope
we love you, Tendai. I miss you. I've been thinking about you and thinking you're the world's best drummer. I say that, world's best ever.
Banan.
Yeah, can you answer Everson's question?
Okay, so Everson's question is, when do you evoke third parties in your marriage? Let me tell you. Let's speak, and I think that's quite an important question to ask. All right. One of the things that we learned early on, and like we said, we've been married a long time, so we've gone through the different seasons. And I remember when we started, you have a lot of people involved in your day-to-day relationship. People weighing in. If it's friends, it's family, it's people telling you what should be done, what shouldn't be done. And if you're not careful, you can lose control of your relationship. So you get to the stage where you're not in charge and you're actually going off what other people think. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that we learned very early on is that we would put ourselves at the center of the relationship. And we would be mature enough not to rope in other people. Mm-hmm. So I remember when we first got married, if somebody came up to me and they said, oh, how's Sarah doing? I'd say, let me tell you how Sarah is doing. Sarah is full of bleep, 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 because we'd gone through a lot of stuff together. And you were going through issues and you wanted everybody to know. But the reality is, as you get a little bit older, you start to mature and you begin to understand that, life has got its own challenges, and maturity requires that you get to the stage where you're able to deal with your stuff together. There may be instances, Everson, where, things are unhealthy. Where things are unhealthy. So, for example, if you're in a relationship and there's physical abuse and things like that, unfortunately, at times like that, it's important to be able to rope other people in.
Absolutely.
But in terms of the day-to-day stuff, it's...
I think sometimes it just causes too much drama where this is a typical one, and I think a lot of the ladies will be, and the men as well, where you will tell your moms, or your nearest and dearest, just how much of an idiot I think he is. And then I go back home, or I come off the phone, and me and the supposed idiot make up and we're back in love, but I've left a very upset mother. And the next time she sees him, she's sort of flashing thunder and lightning and sucking her teeth and so upset with him, or his mom or whoever it is he would have confided in will be really upset with me. Yet we've forgiven each other. So it's important not to just take and this happens a lot in the early years of marriage, where any little things you're running to report. It's just like a child. I'm going to tell. And then it just makes your spouse so unpopular. But I agree with you, Jay, that when there's things like domestic abuse and battery in a marriage, you've got to talk about those things. You cannot be silent. I once, counseled someone who said, they'd had a fight, and her husband had come and he'd held a knife. And I said, why didn't you run? And she says, I prayed. I said, my friend, at that time, you run and pray. Holy Spirit is not going to come physically and walk you out that room. You run. There are times you've got to run for your life. And there are times, those are the times that you need intervention. You don't just sit there and watch your life come to an end. Shall we move on?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So, if there are any questions, ask if I haven't answered anything. No packing of bags. In relationship, in your marriage, no packing of bags, because it's a form of manipulation. And I learned this very early on. I was 20 or 21, when newly married, young, very volatile, very emotional. And Jay and I had an argument, and I called a taxi. Taxi driver took me home. As soon as the taxi started driving into my parents' property, I started boohoo crying, because I needed my parents to see just how upset I was with Jay. And I got the best marriage advice I've ever received. The best marriage advice for me have come from my dad and from my older brother Farai. My dad stopped the taxi driver, told him to put my bags in the car, and gave me these words. He said to me, if you want your marriage to work, you have to fight for it. You can't fight for it in mommy and daddy's house. You've got to go back there and sort out your issues. And I never packed my bags again, because it was a form of manipulation. If you asked me, did I want to leave my husband? No, I didn't. But I was trying to scare him. I was trying to get my parents and my brothers to get so upset so they deal with them. But I didn't want my marriage to work. I never packed my bag again. So packing of bags and walking away and everything is such a terrible form of manipulation, because it's so unsettling, and it destabilizes and disturbs so much.
That's a good one.
It's very traumatic. Yeah.
That's a very good one. That's a very good one.
Do you want to talk about another one?
The D word?
Okay, yeah, go for it.
So we on here
part of our fighting rules.
Yeah, some of the rudimentary notes that Sarah's written down. The D word is taboo. The D word is obviously the divorce word. And let's be clear, there are unfortunately times when people have to divorce, and there's different issues like that. And we don't really want to go into too much detail about that on this one. But in our case, what we've decided to do is, and we decided this very, very early, is that we would not allow that word anywhere near our vocabulary. So what we decided is, early on, we may have instances where we're going to fight. We're going to have instances where we don't agree. We're not going to be getting along, but we don't allow that word to come up. Because unfortunately, what happens is, the moment you use that word, you then get into that place where it becomes an option. You basically say, look, I'm going to divorce you. And we'd say that all the time at the beginning. I'm going to divorce you. I'll divorce you right now. I'll divorce the hell out of you.
I can marry anyone, you're the only man in the world.
And then before you know it, it becomes a real option. It becomes a real option. So we decided early on, it's not an option. It's not in our vocabulary. We just never talk about it. There may be instances where you feel like absolutely killing each other, and that's the truth.
Yeah.
But it's not an option
It's
for
not
us.
an option for us, because I think the minute you allow the divorce word into your marriage and into your arguments and heated fellowship, it's like a seed that's been planted in the ground. You may not see it, but then after a while, it's germinating under there, and then after a while, it sticks its ugly head above the ground, and it begins to grow, and it becomes an option. We've made it so not an option in our marriage, so we know that it's just a no-no. We don't talk about divorce. We don't threaten each other with divorce. We don't throw that about. We don't, yes, the world will tell you there's so many options, but I've made this is my option. I don't have a plan B. When you have a plan B in your heart and in your mind, the subconscious has no sense of humor. The subconscious has no sense of humor. So when you throw around the divorce word and words like that to intimidate, that seed is there, and it begins to germinate. You begin to mull on it. It begins to look like an option, but we've made it a non-conversation, and it's not an option in our relationship. It's not an option in our marriage. Shall I answer Everson?
Can do, yeah.
Everson, you said, how often should we pray for our marriages? Well, you know what? I believe we should pray for our marriages all the time. Prayer is a conversation. Prayer is a conversation with God. So talk about, your spouse, talk about your loved one on the go all the time. There are times, yes, obviously, if you've got time, you sat down and you're in your prayer closet and you're praying, and there's some things sometimes you really just seriously have to talk to God about for him to give you the wisdom on how to tackle. But I believe we should pray for our marriages all the time. Pray for our relationships all the time. Father, give me the wisdom to be a good wife. Give me the wisdom to be a wise wife. Give me the wisdom to add value to our marriage. I don't want to be dead weight. Pray about those things. And even some of the issues that, in different seasons of life and of marriage that have bothered me about Jay, a lot of the times before I talk to him about it, I'll pray about it, because it's easy for me I can have a problem, and it's easy for me to just blurt it out, and it comes out the wrong way and causes so much drama. Whereas when I pray about it, I'm still before the Lord, and then God begins to download wisdom. He gives you strategy. Strategy is so important in the game of life. Strategy on how to tackle this thing. The right time to talk to him about it. The right time to address those issues, and you deal with it in an amicable manner, and you don't. It's not an explosive situation. So we pray for each other all the time. Yeah.
That's a good one. I wanted to, actually, I saw Alan was on here. Alan?
Yes,
Alan.
I saw that.
I hope he's still on there. Alan,
Yeah.
if you're listening, I hope you're
good
well.
to see you.
We're going to come up and see you. It's
International.
long overdue.
Yeah.
I wanted to say something that I think is so critical, and I really hope everybody who's listening hears my heart in this regard, because for me, this has been one of the most important lessons that I've learned over this time that I've been married to this young lady here.
Nice word.
Young lady. I'll say it again. Young lady. Young lady.
Yeah. Hi, Tete. Tete Grace. Carry on, babe.
The most important lesson that I've learned is understanding never, ever, ever, and I can't emphasize this enough, never, ever to shut up the bowels of my heart to my wife. When you're let me speak for the men, because I can really only speak for the men here, but when you're a man, you're presented with a lot of options out there. You're presented with options in the workplace, you're presented with options at school, wherever it is you are. There are always going to be options. And one of the things that I've realized is a massive trap for us guys is that you can be married to somebody, and then how things play out is you can have a massive disagreement, and maybe she says stuff to you that is terrible, because one of the areas, and this, ladies, to be true, but one of the areas where women are really gifted is to speak sometimes and not really process what they're going to say before they say it. So somebody once said that women process as they speak, whereas men we think and then we speak, and that's typically the case. So we've had instances in our relationships where stuff has been said. So my wife would say something to me really, really painful. And then I was tempted to say, you know what, to enter that instinct or that mode of self-preservation and say, listen, I'm never, ever going to allow her to talk to me like this. I would never allow anybody to talk to me like this. And because she's done this to me, that's it. I'm going to make sure that next time she tries to say this to me, it's not going to hurt me, because I'm going to shut off my heart to her. And I've seen how, even though you do that and it's designed to protect yourself, that's the day, whether you realize it or not, where your relationship begins to end.
That's right.
Because the moment you shut up your heart to anybody, they cannot enter in. You've put up a defense, you've put up a wall, and before you know it, that person is out. So you could do that today, and it may take a year, it may take 2 years, it may even take 10 years. But somewhere along the line, you're going to get to the stage where you don't care anymore about what they're saying to you. And the day you stop caring and the day you stop feeling is the day your relationship is fully over. Part of the price of being married, part of the price of being in a relationship is vulnerability.
Absolutely.
You can only love if you're vulnerable. If that person has got the potential to be able to hurt you, because you don't want to give 10% of yourself in a relationship. If you do that, the other 90% is gone. Your relationship is going to be worse off for it. So over the years, I've had signature moments where there's been an opportunity to shut off my heart and basically say, you know what? I'm not going to allow her to hurt me, because maybe some of the stuff she said to me was really painful, but I decided as an act of my will to say, no matter what it is, I love this woman. She's going to hurt me sometimes. She's going to really grieve me sometimes. I'm going to do the same to her, but I'm not going to shut my heart to her. And as long as I am in that frame of mind, your relationship can endure. So listen, I'm saying it's not always going to be easy. You're going to have times that are painful. But guess what? When you are willing to love, you will be able to enjoy the very best of your spouse. Absolutely. Don't shut your heart off to them, no matter what they do. Dr. Jerome, bless you, sir.
Prophetess Pam is on as well. Tendai Ndoro. Yeah, good to see everyone. Relationships, guys, marriage is awesome. I really think it's awesome.
I think so.
It is work, just like anything else. We have to work hard at in our jobs. We have to work hard at everything that we want to excel. So we have to work hard at our marriages as well. And but it is possible to come through for those right now who may be going through a really tough time, and you're thinking, I'm caving in, I'm quitting, I'm walking away. You know what? It is possible to come from the very brinks of a breaking up relationship, a breaking up marriage, and come right back and fall, and be so much in love and be so restored, and ask yourself, what was I thinking wanting to leave my husband? Marriage is excellent. We work at it. Don't give up, and don't allow what's happening in your best friend or someone else's relationship to dictate to your marriage, because again, that's something I find, I don't know about men, but with women sometimes we internalize. So you're having a conversation with your girlfriends, and one of your girlfriends is really being treated so badly. You sort of come back home or get off the phone and you're looking at him and giving your husband side eyes, like like he's done it, but he hasn't even done anything. So don't internalize whatever is happening in your friend's house. Pray for her, believe the best for her, encourage her, but don't bring that baggage back home. Know how to deal with stuff and leave it where it needs to be, but don't bring unnecessary baggage into your marriage. Marriage is great, guys.
Marriage is good, and I think we're going to sign off, but this has been absolutely awesome. Over the years, and it's amazing how many seasons you go through, because remember, we got married as teenagers, which is pretty amazing. I mean, and I
remember we once got into a taxi for my African brothers and sisters, an ET, a combi. What else are they called? Yeah, and we wanted to know what we mean, and we wanted to sit next to each other, and there was a man between us. He ended up sort of like moving and said, young love. He said it in Shona. He says, young love. You know what? This too shall pass.
It's not going to last.
It's not going to last. This puppy love and this infatuation and so into each other, it's going to come to an end. But you know what? Our love has grown even stronger. It doesn't have to end.
It doesn't have to end, but also I wanted to say this, within the context of everything we've gone through, because we've lived through seasons. We've lived through seasons of up and down. We've lived through seasons where we had lots, and we've had seasons where we had absolutely nothing. Yeah. We always talk about the fact that our first child, our first son, we had no money when we got married. Absolutely. We had absolutely no money. And then yet incredibly, literally a year, 2 years into our marriage, we had more money than we'd ever had before. And we've had seasons, and we've had times when we've had plenty of money, and we've had times where we've had no money. But you know, the most awesome thing about it is to get to the place in relationship where you've been with somebody and you know they're with you, not because you're rich, not because you're anything, but because they genuinely are invested in you. And that's an awesome place to be. And, you know, so we want to really encourage people, you know, no matter where you are in your relationship, we've had dips and troughs. We really have. But you know, what's amazing is when you overcome them together and you keep pushing on and you keep pressing on, you actually get to the stage where you're stronger together, and then you realize there's absolutely nothing that we cannot overcome. So regardless of where you are, you might be in a pretty rough place where you're thinking, geez, man, I can't do this anymore. Let me tell you, if you are willing, if you're committed to the relationship, if you both love each other, you can overcome anything. I really, really believe that. And we just want to encourage you, you know, it might seem really, really dark today, but, you know, guess what? You wake up in the morning and it's a brand new day, new possibilities. Absolutely. You know, God is able to break through for you. Yeah. So I think that's it. We're going to sign off. This is, I hope this has been useful to someone. We'll do a few more, obviously.
Love you, Pastor Joanne.
Yes, bless you. And Barney, I know you asked the question which we haven't managed to answer.
Everson's question. Are you able to just address that quickly, honey?
Last
question. How do we get rid of external influences, especially from the ones that we love?
Listen, you know what?
My 2 cents on that. I really think for us, what we've learned over the years is that, you know, united we're powerful. Divided, you know what? We will definitely fall. So this is the closest person to me, and so we're a united force. We're a united force, and nothing can infiltrate that. You know, I don't think I've answered it well, but
no, absolutely. Yeah. You're a team. You're a team. Yeah. You know, and I think when you're a
anyone
team,
who tries to destroy what we have doesn't actually love me. If I have someone who hates my husband but they say they love me, it's impossible. The two of us have become one. We think so much alike. We love the same things. He sleeps next to me, so no one can tell me they actually hate him but they think I'm kind of all right. So it's about knowing the strategy. Together, united, you are so powerful. You're such a formidable force. You've got to know, you know, where your interests lie. This is my man. This is my person. This is the one, you know, who I'll fight viciously for. I can't let the words of a third party come in and destroy what I have. I live with him. I sleep next to him every day. I cook for him every day. You know, so thank you very much. You know, you have to say that. So I can't allow a third party to come in and speak negatively and denigrate and pull him down, because that's foolishness.
No, agreed. And just finally, you know, this weekend I wrote something for her. It was just after church, actually, and I was talking about the uniqueness of my wife, and that was really an encouragement to everybody out there who's in a relationship. A lot of people thought it was our 23rd anniversary. It wasn't. Our anniversary is in May, but you know, and we just received those blessings anyway. So thank you. It's still our 23rd anniversary year. But you see, one of the things I wanted to just highlight is when you're with somebody in a relationship, they're unique. They're with you for a reason. They could be with somebody else. You know, the moment a woman takes your name, or the moment you're in a relationship with a woman and she's on your time and she's giving you the very best of her, and the same applies to a man. But the moment that person gets into a relationship with you, you have to understand their uniqueness and do the very best that you can to identify that uniqueness and celebrate it, and not try and change them and not try and make them feel like, you know, they don't matter and you could replace them in a heartbeat. You know, I looked at my wife and I said to my wife, you know what, from day one, here you are. I always joke with her. I said, you know, when I met you, you know, you were very short and I thought you were going to grow, you know. But
the joke is on him.
She never grew.
I was going to grow
she never grew an inch, you know. And I'm talking about somebody I met when she was 14. You know, she's the same height. But I always tell her, I said, you know what, I don't mind how tall you are. I love your height. There's so many unique quirks about you. I even love when you're angry with me, the way you behave. I know exactly when you're angry because of the way, you know, when we're angry and we're driving, if she's really angry and you're driving, she'll look outside the window. So you know she's vexed. But basically what happens is you learn what makes your spouse, your mate unique. And you celebrate that uniqueness, because ultimately they're celebrating and they're living their life journey with you. They don't have to. They could be with somebody else, but they've chosen to live their life with you. And for me, that's a wonderful thing. And I want to spend the rest of my life celebrating her uniqueness and reminding her every day. And I've been saying this. And finally, to all of you who are married out there, Let me tell you something. Practical wisdom as we sign off. Kiss your wife every day.
Yes.
Every day. Don't be deep. Don't be sophisticated with it. Every day. Make a conscious decision to kiss your wife. There's nothing.
Hug, touch. It's important.
I don't care whether you're in your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, your 60s, your 70s.
Yeah.
Kiss every day. Make sure that you have that intimacy together, that time of gentle intimacy. And it's not sexual. It's just recognizing that the person that you're with is important. Value them. Women love that sort of thing.
Absolutely.
And it really makes them valued, especially as they get a little bit older. Because, you know, sometimes if you're not careful, you make your spouses feel less sexual and less attractive. But you got to remind them every day, listen, you know what? You're the business. Every day you look good, and you're going to keep looking good until the day we're done. So I think that's my last piece of advice.
Love you guys. Thanks for listening.
I hope that was useful. God bless you all.
See you soon and have a lovely, lovely, lovely week, guys. God bless you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.